I do this. Don't lead me into your rubbish, right? Don't you keep taking us on flights of fancy. Your city, lily pad lefty mindset, right? So I'm not going to answer your questions because they insult us as a race of people.
Hello and welcome to our wrestling perspective. If you like what you see, give it a big thumbs up. If you don't like what you see, don't give it a thumbs down. And if you want to make it your wrestling perspective, all you need to do is add Y. And this episode is our weekly perspective, episode 3. Yeah, we did 2 episodes beforehand, but this is episode 3. Come at me. No, I didn't title that, but you know what we're getting at. From the 17th of February 2020 all the way up to the 23rd of February 2020. That's the week of wrestling we're looking at. Yes, sometimes when it comes to pay-per-views in America, it's Sunday for you guys, but it ends up being Monday for me. So I will be covering NXT Portland in this because it landed on Monday for me. And yes, before we go any further, I do look like NCIS's Most Wanted. Now the first thing we're going to review is none other than NXT TakeOver Portland that took place in America Sunday but took place for me on Monday. That's why I'm adding it in. I know the overall NXT TakeOver was probably the biggest one they've had, so I'm only going to put 5 points. I'm not going to go through it all. Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic, that was at least 11 stars. That match by itself had me standing up on my chair, but then I had to sit down for a bit because I had people around and I was just a wee bit too excited, you know. Then moving on to the Tegan Nox Dakota Kai all-out fight, street fight. It was the fight of all ages. And I know this is a bit out of taste, but did you see none other than Tegan Nox? She had a bit of, not a bit of wardrobe malfunction, but she had a bit of the bit of a thong pop out 4 times. Only 4 times. If it was 2 more times, she would have beat my all-time record at a wedding. Long story. And then we move straight on to the NXT Tag Team Championship matchup. Okay, before we get any further, I, in my wildest dreams, never thought I was going to see Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle as a tag team, nor did I really even want to. But slowly over the weeks, they warmed up to me. Like,
really warmed up to me.
But the only thing was, when they finally won the tag gold, I realised, I'm like, they're legitimately a tag team. Like, you would see them in the weeks, but that just solidified them. You're like, oh, they're serious. Anything can happen in the WWE. Broserweights, I'm not complaining though. Lord, who's going to take it off them? Then that spectacular match that we saw of Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. I know, I was very happy once Rhea Ripley won. It was good for the Aussies. Throwing up the NXT Championship. We'll cut out the women's now. The NXT Championship, just to prove how dominant she is. Also wearing the Riot City Wrestling colours. I see what you did there. Bit of the white, green, black. They even did a throw out on the Instagram. I saw that. But then right after the match, we saw Charlotte come attack Rhea Ripley. And I kind of thought I wanted Bianca Belair to get back up and attack Charlotte to the point where maybe Belair's introduced into that triple threat at WrestleMania. But, you know, it's good either way because Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania for the NXT, now added in, Women's Championship. And it's at WrestleMania 2020. What world is this? I'm loving it. Okay, before we get any further, I just want to cement one thing in stone. I do not think that Johnny Gargano turned heel, like what everyone says. If anything, it's Johnny revenge. He's finally done what he needed to do. Tommaso Ciampa warmed up to him and then screwed him at the last moment. Oh yeah, but he came out and celebrated with the NXT Championship. No, Johnny deserved to stuff him over, but Johnny stuffed him over. Would that be a shirt? Now straight after that magnificent NXT Portland pay-per-view, we head straight over to Monday Night Raw. I tried it for the 3rd time. I know it fails every time. But let's kick it off. To start it all off, we saw the Matt Hardy and Randy Orton announce no holds barred matchup, but that never happened. He came out for neck brace. I'm like, oh, what's going to happen now? Well, what's going to happen now? Well, I get Randy Orton is this force to be reckoned with. He's actually got that heel momentum, not the cool heel momentum, the proper heel momentum. Anyway, he grabbed Matt Hardy, he put him down, and he kept smacking him with a chair. And you know what even made it more sickening? That everyone was chanting one more time. From my couch, I was yelling,
Already dead.
Also, we have finally got a Raw Tag Team Championship match announced. And it's for Super Showdown, none other than the Super Showdown. We're talking, oh yeah fam, Street Profits versus Murphy and Seth. He should just name himself Seth and get rid of the Rollins. And this finally made me pumped, because after the whole Asuka and Becky situation, after their whole debacle, we could probably finally see the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships up against another tag team in a legitimate feud. But no. That moves us on to the fourth point. Yeah, you're like, we're already up to 4. Yeah, we're already up to 4. And what's the fourth point? They put one of the tag team champions in the Elimination Chamber. And last but not least, my fifth point, and this is a huge advocating point for me, I say vote 1 to keep Angel effing Garza on Raw. He is flourishing like a flower. He has NXT, yeah, that's a platform. And he's been the NXT Cruiserweight Champion before. But there's something with him being on Raw that adds that extra element to his smart-assy gimmick. Now over to the Wednesday Night War. We're talking the Wednesday Night War. Yes, before we get into it, you can love all professional wrestling, but sometimes weekly you might have a preference in what you watch. It may be, this week, you love the NXT, the black and gold brand. Or you could have been like, nah mate, All Elite Wrestling. Did you see what they did on this episode? That's what tickled my fancy. I've got 3 points from each show. Now let's compare those points against each other and see who wins this week for us. Starting off with the black and gold brand, we're talking the first thing that even got me confused. How is Johnny Gargano booed? Serious. Ciampa was this massive heel that screwed over Johnny so many times, and now you're going to turn on Johnny because he did something that he should have done ages ago. Shame on you. Shame on them. Shame on everybody. Now on to the second point of NXT. Are we going to see Keith Lee versus Dominic Dijakovic one more time? If so, I didn't have the glasses then to take it off. And the third point is none other than Velveteen Dream. He really stuck out to me because I know you can take this how you want it, but just the fashion design that he had on, he looked like an African-American Disco Stew from The Simpsons.
Did you know that disco record sales were up 400% for the year ending 1976?
Which I don't mind. I like the whole get up like he has. But I think it's too much like a Shinsuke. But anyway, it's probably just a one-time thing because the Dream wears anything. Now on to All Elite Wrestling. That's right, we're talking about AEW Dynamite on TNT. And what's the things that stuck out to me? Well, let's find out with that Battle Royal, the Tag Team Battle Royal. Everyone was just getting pegged over. It was a massacre half of the time, but then we see Chima get offered the Dark Order mask. He's looking around, but everyone's looking around at him saying, we don't care. And then Raven was there. After Scorpio Sky jumped on the Dark Order, he's just sitting there on the chair. No one mentions it. Everyone goes blank on commentary like, do we say something? Do we mention he's here? Is he the one? The second point that stuck out to me was none other than Hangman and Kenny Omega defending their tag team champions against the Lucha Brothers. Yes, at times I felt very sorry for the referee. That's why I'm wearing the shirt. Because, man, there was at least a 25 count the door in the ring for. They were going PWG style, but 5 minutes in, everyone's chanting, this is awesome. I'm guessing this is a better crowd than what Raw copped, with Matt Hardy copping a bit of a steel chair to the neck. But it was a good match. It was fantastic. Now on to the third and final point. We're talking about that steel cage match between Cody Rhodes and Wardlow. That steel cage by itself looked fantastic, but it looked a bit shaky, but it looked fantastic, the design on it. And the no escaping, that you're locked in there. I like that whole premise. And Cody Rhodes had to do shades of Kurt Angle and do that moonsault off the top and nearly completely miss Wardlow. But that whole match had me standing on edge. It It was the Great All Elite Wrestling Dynamite in Atlanta, Georgia. They said they wanted to put on one of the best wrestling shows they've seen in a while. Is that a dig to Into the Fire? Who cares? Because I loved All Elite Wrestling this week. Every part of it made me go, ooh. Now let's find out who won this week for me. Was it the black and gold brand NXT, or was it the one on TNT, AEW? See, I try to make them rhyme. But no matter what, AEW, All Elite Wrestling, they did it for me this week. They won. I know, you're shocked. You're probably thinking, what? NXT fans are probably going, but AEW did put on the better show this week just because NXT kind of seemed like a replay from the last NXT Portland. But the whole, if you put NXT Portland up against this AEW, of course NXT was going to win. But AEW this week, you couldn't beat it. It was a strong wrestling show. And it, in my opinion, kind of wiped out NXT this week. Now off to the other NXT. We're talking about NXT UK. To the wrong part. NXT UK, the 2 points that stuck out to me. A heel Noam Dar. Why didn't we see this with the main roster? I love this. A heel Noam Dar. If you haven't seen it, go on the WWE Network now or watch it however you watch it. You're going to see heel Noam Dar. It's fantastic. And the second point, we can finally celebrate, because apparently to Joe Coffey, that Ilya Dragunov is debt free. Fantastic. And after NXT UK, that leads us straight away onto the blue brand. I'm talking about SmackDown on Fox. Are you ready? But yes, with the blue brand, I'm going to say 5 things that stuck out to me. And the first thing that really stuck out to me with the opening segment went down since day one-ish. You had the Usos come out, then Kofi Kingston and Big E come out. But I couldn't get out of my head that Kofi Kingston was wearing the tag belt upside down. You had to really look, but it was noticeable once it was noticeable. And then moving on, we're going to that Symphony of Destruction match. That was fantastic, that Symphonies of Destruction match. But that whole segment where you had Nakamura with the nunchucks of the thing that hits the gong. I think that's the actual pronunciation of that metal disc. I'm not too sure. But after that, did you see how Nakamura got landed straight onto that piano after Braun Strowman tried to hit him onto it? The piano didn't move. It no-sold it. And then the back of Shinsuke's head started just pissing out blood. I honestly hope that Shinsuke is alright after this, because that looked gnarly. And then we saw the weird thing, not really weird, but Alexa Bliss always manages to get the breaking news on her segment, Talking with Bliss, a moment of bliss. Bliss, who cares what the Bliss is called? But she announced that the Bella Twins will be going into the Hall of Fame. So who will be inducting them? I think Daniel Bryan for the both of them, because how Daniel Bryan had them both in the NXT walking with. But either way, it's going to be good. You're going to both seem pregnant, because they announced that even though we knew that they're all pregnant, it's officially announced, because SmackDown's like, it's officially announced. They're pregnantes. They're pregnant. They're pregnant? This isn't really a point, but you see more of the hacking going on. Is the Impact Wrestling stable moving on to SmackDown as well? A lot of the things were happening even before the Otis and Mandy segment. You saw a little glitches. But we move on to the fourth point, and I truly hope that they're not a full-time alliance, because I'm kind of sick of seeing Heath Slater in tag teams, and there's a lot more people that would need Drew Gulak's advice and guidance. But either way, I hope this is just a Drew Gulak and Daniel Bryan feud, because their technical matches would be off the chains. And last but not least, the fifth point that stuck out to me on the blue brand SmackDown on Fox. We're talking about the Goldberg and Fiend situation, when Goldberg got given a mic and hey, he talks like this, and where is the Fiend? And then they finally made up after there was a not the best Firefly Funhouse segment, but the minute he came into the ring, just one spirits, and then the Fiend buggers off. It's like, okay, does this make me more hyped for the match? No. Now on to other wrestling. We're talking about Impact Wrestling. Yes, they jumped back over the border, back to the USA. Yes, I know that was a borderline racial joke. See what I did there again? But the 3 things that stuck out to me in Impact Wrestling, none other. We're seeing Gut Check that's coming back. What's with it? With all of these promotions, bring it back like an element of Tough Enough. If you're going to bring anything back, bring like a Cyber Sunday / Taboo Tuesday type of thing, where the people vote. That would be great. Then moving on to the next thing. Excuse me? We're saying the signing of none other coming soon to Impact Wrestling, Chris Bay. If you haven't seen him, he did appear on Raw. I think it was a feed to either Eric Rowan or Braun. I'm not too sure. But either way, it's good. We're getting some new fresh blood into Impact like we always do. And we're moving on to none other than the ICU stable, where you scan the code and I hack onto the screen. What's happening now?
It was only a matter of time before the blind villain.
Before I invaded OWP, as I love guys, I can tell and smell the fear. Seriously?
I swear I get like the worst enemies. Now moving on to the Major League of Wrestling. We're talking about Fusion. You're probably thinking, how did my hair go down? I had a hat, I'll put it on for a bit. But Major League of Wrestling, what did we see? We see Eric Stevens debut. And I understand why not many other people want to hop in a ring with him, because he's stiff and he makes sure that you just like brutalized and into dust when he's finished with you. Then we move on to another Killer Cross promo. He's coming apparently. I don't know how this is going to happen. Then the second point of Major League of Wrestling Fusion this week, more build towards King Mo and the low-key feud. I didn't know I wanted to see this match, but I kinda do. And like King Mo had like a squash match this week and just obliterated his massive opponent. It looked like Kane and Abyss's love child. And the third point, we saw Eric Stevens again, but rock up in the main event as he joins Team Filthy. It's another Healy Wheelie stable. It's gonna be a proper collision, because I'm guessing they're building towards when they have that War Chamber, War Games, or whatever they want to call it. War. Now on to the American Saturday pay-per-view, but technically Sunday for us. We're talking about Impact Wrestling presents Sacrifice. And one of the main things that stuck out to me, alright, the partnership with OVW was fantastic. Then you had the North and Rascals for the Impact Tag Team Championships kick it off, and the North are dominant tag team champions, and they've always shown that they're dominant tag team champions. I love how they do the throwback to the old TNA logo with their t-shirt. And right after that fantastic tag team match, we moved onto a fantastic match between Kira Hogan and an OVW talent. But right after that, there was that segment that caught into my head. Even though the audio was a bit off, we had Ace Austin, the Triple X Division champion, doing Steiner Math. That's correct, we had Ace Austin doing Steiner Math. It wasn't as cringy as you thought, but the audio was in and out, so I couldn't go into the full capacity of cringe. Also, throughout this whole event, there was a lot of chants for OVE. This is OVE territory. Where is Sammy? He would have loved this. And then we saw the fantastic match. I mean, legitimately fantastic for what it was. When Rhino technically beat Moose in a disqualification, then Rhino's like, no, we're going to have this in a no DQ. The no DQ match played out fantastically. But before that, we saw Wildcat Chris Harris sitting ringside after they promoted the TNA event, No Place Like Home. It's good to see a familiar face. And it's like NXT TakeOver, and I love how they said sold out, but there is so many empty seats there. Now we're talking about the main event, Ace Austin versus Tessa Blanchard. One thing I must go into before, you could have gone through so many segues. I know that Ace Austin is this terrific Triple X or X Division champion, no matter what you want to call it. But before all of it, Tessa Blanchard's like, if I beat him tonight, then I'm going to go after the X Division thing. And which really confused me, because why wouldn't you bring the option C in for Ace Austin when he was going up for Tessa Blanchard? But this match was good no matter what, with a hot crowd, because the crowd was hot through the whole night. But if you like what you saw, give it a big thumbs up. And if you want more of this, you could do something more sneakier. And you know what that is? That's that subscribe button. But if you want to go even more sleazier, you can spank that notification button. But at the end of the day, I want to say thank you as well to the 76 subscribers that we currently have. We are just going on the up and up, and you are as well. Welcome to the OWP Galaxy. You see that plane? That's for us to go up. Let's do something sneaky and do it with me. Let's do the Claymore countdown. 3, 2, 1, boom!